Hi, it's Jade Edwards, District PBIS Coordinator.
Hi, Carrie Machado, District PBIS Coach.
It's Tiffany Maston, District PBIS Coach.
Sahiane, District PBIS Coach.
And today we're going to be talking to you about tiered behavioral supports for children that may struggle with noncompliance or oppositional behaviors. These are the kids that if you tell them to eat the candy, they will say, I'm not going to eat that candy. So when we're talking about how to support these students at a very basic level, the biggest thing to remember is building a rapport or a relationship. The more strong of a relationship you have with challenging or non-compliant students, the more you'll be able to get out of them when you're asking them to do things or to follow directions. So there's lots of ways that we can do that. One of the ways is to make sure that we have a relationship with them that's built on more than just their behavior. So if we're only interacting with them when they're doing what we say, or if they're not following our directions, then our relationship with them is really behaviorally based rather than based on just the fact that you're another person that I enjoy or I care about you as a whole. So we want to make sure that we're taking the time to explore these children's interests because that will help us be more invited into their world, and it also gives us an idea of what things are meaningful to them so that we can include them into different reinforcements or creative ways to be able to meet work expectations so that they are more invested in what we're asking them to do. So maintaining a positive parent-child relationship is important, and one of the ways that we can do that as well is to make sure that we're using humor when we can, but trying to avoid sarcasm. Sometimes sarcasm can be hard for students to interpret, and it can also lead to power struggles. So we want to make sure that we're really clear, that the students know what it is that we expect, that we're using a firm tone, and that they know that we are in a place of authority, but also being neutral in our facial expressions. We don't want to be extremely authoritative, because the harder that we come down on these type of learners, then usually they tend to react more strongly. So if we back them into a corner, they tend to come out with a lot more aggression or with stronger levels of noncompliance. So we want to make sure that we're always very calm, firm, and neutral, that our body language is safe and approachable, and that we make sure that they know that they are important to us and that we're on their side. And that really lays a solid foundation for being able to get the best out of our students that have some difficulty with compliance and following directions.
Next up, we're going to talk about Tier 2 strategies for oppositional behaviors. One of the most important things to remember if your child is having oppositional behaviors is they're often trying to resist control or manipulation from the adults around them. By allowing them to be a part of those choices, it gives them a sense of ownership in what they're expected to do. So first, as adults, we still need to set limits and make sure that we're setting them with consistency. If the child knows what to expect with each behavior that they engage in, then they're more easily able to follow the rules that the parent is putting in place for them. So some of the ways that you can do this is things like first then strategies, such as first we need to get our work done and then you can play the video games. Or when you throw a tantrum on the ground, then we have to go to timeout. So being able to set those limits consistently and always make sure that you're actually able to follow through with the consequence or expectation that you've set on the child. Next up, you want to make sure that if there is any error correction, try to avoid using the words no or don't when changing the behavior, and also try to offer choice as much as possible. So rather than saying, no, you're not supposed to do that, you can say, well, we can get our work done in this location, or we could do this assignment first or this assignment first. So allowing them to have choice really offers them a chance to have some say and give them some opportunity for some control as well.
A token economy system is a strategy you can utilize with your child who's exhibiting oppositional behaviors. This system, in the way it's utilized, is to help increase the frequency of desired behaviors. It's really important before you implement a system like this to sit down with your child and explain what that expected behavior is for that moment in time or for the day. You then allow your child to exhibit some control in the process and have some buy-in to want to do it, and you ask them, what are you working for today? So the expected behavior today is we are going to complete our work, and what would you like to earn based upon completing your work today? And so they choose what they want to work for, and so they have that displayed somewhere on a visual piece of paper on the fridge next to them, allowing them to see and easily for you to redirect back to what they're working for. As they work throughout their work, you can base it on so many items that they earn a token. You can base it on each worksheet they earn a token. But as they earn those tokens, at the end of that, they can cash those tokens in for that desired reinforcement that they chose. Sometimes for our kiddos, it might be important to allow maybe 4 tokens before they reach that desired reinforcement. And then as behavior momentum increases and the frequency of that good or positive desired behavior increases, you can then require more tokens before they reach that desired reinforcement. So here you can see many different ways that you can portray that. The superhero is one in which you can, with anything actually, print it out, cut it up into pieces, and then they piece it together. So they're given a piece of the puzzle each time that they display expected behaviors. Once they are able to complete the whole puzzle and put it together, they then get that desired reinforcement. The other ones that you can see are very visually laid out with boxes that show how many tokens they need to receive before they earn that desired reinforcement, and the box, what am I working for? And I gave some examples of different ways of pictures that you can cut out and place in those boxes as you reinforce your child for the expected behavior. Sometimes too, it's really good to print out things that are highly reinforcing for your child. So if they really like, Thomas the Train or another superhero, printing those out and using those as the tokens on the token board.
This is a nice visual for adults to help yourself rethink your power needs. So as you can see at the bottom, there are a few points to remember when it comes to your power needs as well as your child's power needs. A lot of the time when a child is displaying oppositional behavior, we take it very personally. When we have to step back and remember it's the rules that need to be obeyed, not so much myself. If I'm setting clear and functional rules for my child, then they should be able to follow through with those rules. And if they choose not to, then I can't take it personally, but just remind them of what my expectations are for them. When it comes to power and power struggles with your child, it's not that your children want to take away your power as the adult, but they also just want some of their own. As children get older and become more independent, it's something that we should be allowing them more of as well. So something that is a healthy part of child development. Some ways that you can offer some opportunities for your child to gain some of their own power needs is, as mentioned before, offer choices and not so much orders. So if you're letting them choose how they want to do the expected things that you're asking them to, then they take more ownership in some of those behaviors. Also, giving them some responsibility. Sometimes kids really want to rise to the occasion of a responsibility that's given to them by an adult because they want to prove that they are responsible as well. Make sure you're starting with the things that they are strong in and things that they are able to accomplish easily. That way you can build the momentum from there. Also, making sure that you're expressing interest in the things that they're interested in and not so much just choosing the things that you think that they would like to work for. Asking their opinion and asking for their help also gives them an opportunity to engage in some power choices. So remember, when it comes to power needs, power is not like a remote. There's not only one person that has control. You can treat it more like a candle. You yourself have power in your flame and you can pass that power on to your child. Your power is not like a bucket where you only have so much. Offering some to your child does not deplenish your own.
Hi, I'm going to talk to you about intensive and individualized supports for you to implement at home. Dealing with an oppositional or combative or student who has difficulty accepting different requests or demands, that can be oftentimes frustrating for you as an adult. It's very important for you to reflect and often check in with yourself because you want to make sure that your reactions to noncompliance and working with your child still maintain a positive and trusting relationship for you and your family at home. Sometimes our students who struggle with accepting requests or demands, they have a unique sensitivity to being anxious or having more frustrating behaviors, or may just have a level of misunderstanding of what your directions or your requests are. Some of the interventions to help support you at home include behavioral specific feedback. That means stating positively what you would like the behavior to look like and praising that behavior when it does occur. So you might say, I like the way that you completed your morning routine. You brushed your teeth, you got your clothes on time, and you're ready to get started on your workday. Another behaviorally specific feedback example could be, I like the way that you completed your homework quietly and that you completed it with good accuracy today. Using behaviorally specific feedback helps you gain momentum and also helps you build a positive and trusting relationship moving forward. Another very strategic and smart way of using some accommodations when working with your child is think about some of the tasks that might be more challenging or maybe more frustrating for your child. So if math is the area that you know sets your child off, you might be more strategic in saying, okay, we're going to get started with math, but also be aware that you might want to have a more highly preferred reinforcer that comes after we finish that math task. That will also help reduce that frustration and will also help your child progress through that math task with more ease, knowing that he's going to have something fun to do after. And then the last strategy you might want to start with is using say okay strategies. This helps remove the opportunity for opposition. And so a lot of times we ask our kids, hey, can you get started on your homework? And they're saying, no, I'd rather play video games. Why would I want to start my homework? But if you reframe your statement and say, hey, I need you to get started on your homework now, that reduces the opportunity for them to be non-compliant. And it's giving them a positive out for getting started on their homework.
One of the final tips that we're going to give you for working with kids that need a little bit of extra help would be developing a SMART goal. And we've talked about this before, but here's a specific sheet that kind of helps outline what that discussion or process might look like. It has some guiding questions that I think are really helpful. So first, we want our goal to be specific. So what exactly do you want to accomplish? And this isn't you as the parent deciding what the goal should be for your kid. It really needs to be a give and take dialogue to where you are getting the kids buy-in on what this goal is, helping them to see the benefit and take ownership of it so that we have their invested interest. So it may be something to do with homework completion. It may also be something like getting your room clean or following directions within a certain amount of time. So we want it to be specific. We want it to be measurable. So how will you know when you've reached that goal? It could be my bed will be made every single day before I eat breakfast, right? Action, what goal or what will you need to do in order to reach your goal? So what does that actually take as far as my level of effort as a student? And then is it realistic? How am I going to know if this is something I can do? Now, if I am a student that has a hard time following directions, it's probably not good for me to set a goal that I'm going to get 100% of my work done in only an hour when I have tons of work, and it usually takes me about 30 minutes to even just get started. So part of our goal as the parents is to help them come up with something that's realistic. So they may start off with a really high goal, and we may want to bring it down a little bit. Like, that would be great, and if you do that, we can celebrate even bigger. But let's start off with this type of a goal. I think this is realistic for you. Now, the opposite is also true. They may say, how about my goal is that I complete one homework assignment all week? Well, we may say, okay, that might be realistic, but is it really pushing you to feel like you're proud of that at the end of that goal being met? Or do you think that you could push yourself a little bit more and feel even more proud of what you've accomplished? And then timely. So we don't necessarily want it to be by the end of summer, I will have. A lot of these goals, we want to make sure that we have them in a timely manner so that we can reinforce them and acknowledge them and celebrate the accomplishments within a reasonable time frame, so that kids can get that feeling of accomplishment. And we may layer some goals. Maybe we have some goals that are by the end of summer to prepare for the upcoming school year, or a fun trip or vacation that's planned, but maybe we can also have some that are short-term goals as well. So we hope that you found that these tips were helpful for you guys as parents. This concludes our PBIS at Home series. So thank you so much for watching and for being a part of this, and we hope that you have a wonderful summer vacation.